try and exploit, but Rops is one step ahead. That bomb plant is also down, and it's 2 scouts here for the save for Optic. They can try and look for exits and grab a couple of AKs, but I imagine Mousesports will stay fairly grouped in the post plant. Definitely don't want to be throwing away guns or giving Optic any free upgrades here.
Yeah, it doesn't like they will. Maybe KGB gets something here from the lone Sunny, but even then it's only a Mac 10. You'd like to keep the scout over that. As more players come his way, maybe there's a chance for Cajun to do a little bit of damage. Saying that he is getting hounded down, so I'd just like to get out of danger and hold on to that scout, and indeed he will. Mousesports is going to be taking the lead in this matchup, and it's been a little while since we've seen them there. It's been a pretty uncomfortable end to that first half after an initially pretty strong start from Mousesports over on that CT side.
Yeah, really good start. I mean, as we said, losing pistol, winning force, able to reset Optic very early on, and then we just had that huge 5-round streak of Optic T-side rounds. And that's what really put them in the position they're in now. Although this position being a little more uncomfortable, another eco coming out. Mousesports likely going to be able to find 10 rounds here on this T side with a fast burst towards A with a nade. So they won't be committing off the back of it, but just trying to keep the pressure up, trying to keep Optic second guessing themselves. Again, you sometimes see in these early rounds of the half somewhat, teams conditioning CTs to react in a certain way. So when they can go for actual rifle rounds, they can force Optic to do things that they want or reposition appropriately. And right now, Mousesports will be hitting that A site a little bit later as their nades and smoke start to fade. Still finding the entries required though. Again, not a lot of resistance with Optic being on pistols. Again, 2 scouts holding on. You may as well go for something here. You're going to be buying up in the next round anyway. So look to make that money. Look to grab an AK. Yugi's at least traded off his teammate, but even a spot there won't be enough for a frag. The nade goes in, but by that point, Steeko's run for the hills. 2 of these T's are low, so they want to get out of here. They want to keep these guns. Mousesports will be given 10 rounds here.
Yeah, but that buy now on the horizon for Optic. This one was just a bit of a throwaway round, a chance to try and do a bit of damage. They managed that. They're going to be looking now to this next round. Cajun, crucially, did save a little bit of extra cash in the round prior. While the rest of the team invested, he just took a deagle. That was all he had to work with. Ooh. Yeah, they make it that much more expensive. But yeah, no, he's going to have the money to go ahead and buy the AWP up here. There's so much cash on this T side. Or CT side, rather. That they could even move into a double AWP setup if they would like.
And again, we saw that early in the first half where Optic had that weird, buy from Yugi where he's pulling up an AK and it's limiting him, in a full-on rifle round where he had to place easy. It took ages for him to even get an AWP in play. But at least this time he has the AWP into the first full rifle round of the half. So that's always a good sign for Optic.
Yeah, maybe that's just a difference in how they wanted to play it. But actually, we'll hold this, though, because it looked like it was going to maybe be a bit of a faster play out towards this A bomb site. Instead, they throw in the utility, they break the squeak, they deal a decent bit of early damage onto Refresh. And he's now forced off that angle in towards him, and he's certainly not ideal.
These early nades to A, Mousesports, doing right what Optic did wrong in the first few rounds of the T side. Optic tried to go for a lot of fast A bursts, and they just got countered by the utility of Mousesports, like cutting off and sectioning these players into groups of 2. Well, Mousesports just throw all their nades into A immediately, trying to force out Molotovs and anything from Optic, but they will not bite. Note that. They have plenty of utility for later in the round. But already a bit of damage the way of Refresh, far from a perfect start. Nothing to worry about too much right now. Mousesports do still have that outside control. The wall of smoke's cutting off complete lines of sight for Optic. So by Optic's prediction, Mousesports could all be down B right now. And Chris Chase even killed a player on ramp. This is going to be a very problematic situation for Optic where they're lacking information. So Mousesports will hit that A site after all. Refresh trying to come up through that vent, and he will get one for his troubles, but an immediate trade leads Config alone on the back of the site, not going to be able to hold his own. And Yugi now on the wrong side of the map. That is a great execute from Mousesports. Optic were completely left with no info.
Yeah, I mean, they just had no idea what was going on. To play very reactive Counter-Strike, certainly not what you want. Yugi's here, he's trying to hold on to the store, but they are just hounding him down. Look at this. I mean, there's blood in the water, the sharks are circling, and they managed to pick him up, no problem. But yeah, I mean, as I was saying, right, maybe the reason that Optic neglected having the AWP out on Yugi does maybe just seem like, on the T side, they wanted to keep going for those explosive plays. That's what we kept seeing them go back to, and it was working, right? So if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Here on the CT side, it's clear they want to try and make that more of a mainstay of this of this side of the map, at least, and how they look to play into it. Yugi this time sporting the Deegan armor, scout up for refresh. It's a pretty poor buy cobbled together here. But that's a meaty tag from that scout. Refresh, time to shine, but he will get shut down. Sunny shining even brighter. Little bit of flair there. Cage and B, Config and Yugi left standing. Config's already here with a Deagle, and that there is a pretty threatening thing despite this being the $700 investment. They're able to drop him, and now Cage and B and Yugi left in the 2-on-4.
Yeah, not a lot of hope here though. Only pistols to play with for Optic, so bomb plant can come down from Mousesports. The only, bit of light for Optic is the fact that 2 players are low, but with missing that shot, Cajun going down and Yugi now left alone, may as well just look for some damage here. If he can get a kill with this SMG, it just, a lot more money, $600. Helpful for buying up that AWP, but Stiko has really been on form this series as well, so got to be very careful coming down this ramp, and he will go down. So Mousesports 12-8. This is where Optic need a round. If Optic don't get this first buy round here, or the second buy round here, they're going to have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost starting to feel like maybe a bit of a reoccurring problem with this Optic squad. Is normally what we see is very, very competent T sides. You look at the guys within this team. You look at the likes of Refresh, Config, Yugi. You think about their playstyles back in their teams. They were always very, very aggressive, right? And I think that complements Optic's T side perfectly. It gels super well. You can see that they're able to take all these aggressive fights, but on the CT side, that just doesn't translate that well. They play a more reserved style, and it almost looks uncomfortable. Yugi this time around is able to kickstart this round with a man advantage for Optic Gaming. So they've managed that at least, but in the meantime, Sunny, he's gained so much ground. He's all the way down in control. And he's just sitting, biding his time, waiting for a player to cross, just walking him as crosshair. Cage and B actually reads it and shuts him down somehow. They've dealt with the point man down on B, and now things are looking good for Optic here.
Oh, Rob's just dodging that shot as well, trying to take down this AWP down on B. Snappy will back off, but there's a second man up close, so Robs has to be very careful not to overstay his welcome. Stiko still holding onto the A site, but there are 2 players here for Optic. They have a strong hold with Refresh playing the site. One more man, I think that's Config just above as well, so this is going to be a difficult execute for Mousesports with only 1 smoke to play with and all the players stacked up in the lobby. Oscar creeping on by, but he's not going to be checking the right angle. Refresh lines up 2, dropping the bomb, and there's Config shining in from above. Optic able to find themselves a rifle round, and an extremely important one at that, a round they needed, to be frank. And that's going to keep them in this game for at least the time being. 3 players surviving, a convincing round for the Danes, and this is not over just yet.
No, definitely not, but time is very much of the essence still. It's 9-12 right now, and we're approaching the latter stages of this second half, with Mousesports being the team in the lead. They still have the money to buy here as well, so one silver lining for Optic because they keep that very, very clean. They at least dodge getting reset. That would be devastating at this point in the game had it come down to another one of those 1vx scenarios that we so often saw Optic in. A really pivotal moment in a swing round to find their footing and take a clean victory. Now poised to try and chain a few together. Snappy over here at the ramp with the AWP in hand. Rotations are a long way away, but Refresh, he's already gone aggressive. He's pushed on in and he's been able to get away with it. So just gets 1 and then puts his running shoes on, heads back into the A bomb site, and he'll retreat without ever leaving a trace. Optic now sitting comfortably a man up.
That's such an important pick. It's such a risky play from Refresh, considering there's no way to trade that if he goes down, but this has paid off dramatically for Optic with a man advantage in a round that they do not want to get reset in. So now Optic, all they've got to do is wait for Mousesports to make the next play. No need to push up on this CT side, and exactly that. They are playing passive. 3 on that A site right now. Mousesports only just regaining control of the lobby, and we still have Sunny in the yard to eventually split in through main when they go for this A execute. But with 3 players and 30 seconds left, Optic are poised and ready for this push. They're going to have a field day ahead of them. Cage and B's already locked down that flank in the yard, and now Mousesports, they may even just give up on A entirely. They may even give up on the round. There's 20 seconds. If they don't go ramp right now, it's a save. And that's what it is for Mousesports. They realise that without Sunny coming in through main and with the whole push being very telegraphed, they don't want to risk going for it. They'd rather hold on to the guns, come back in with a full buy in the upcoming round and give it another go.
And this is kind of what, this is the picture I was trying to paint, right? Optic, you have all these aggressive players, and now we can see them starting to try and, you know, actually figure out how to best utilize them here on this CT side. That round there, for example, sending Refresh just deep in through Hut, picking up that man advantage through that entire round into disarray. Anything that Mousesports had planned, well, suddenly, you know, you've got a man you have to try and contend with who's just caused complete chaos in your backline. The bomb was dropped there as well, which, you know, didn't really do all too much, but it did give the information as to where it resided at that moment in time. You lose all the utility on Chris J, because I believe he was the man who went down. This round, double orb once again. Snappy and Yugi going to be donning them. Snappy still yet to really get tested down here towards ramp. Looks like Mousesports going to try and go back to basics, back to this A-bomb site, but that's where Config lies in wait, and he's quite the beast. They should have let Sleeping Dogs lie, because he's here, and he is mauling Mousesports at this point in time.
Wallbang kill for Robs. I'm sure he'll take that, but Config is still standing strong at the back of the site. Side by side with the Refresh as well. Oscar fully blinded. He's hiding in the corner, but they've spotted him. The Wallbang coming through. He's so low, and Config will not let his prey escape. Third kill of the round. Rob's trying to bail his team out, but there's no more Wallbang potential here, surely. He has crossed to the right side, but Refresh doesn't want to challenge once again back into the hut. Sunny, while he is lurking down on B, the bomb is not here, and that's going to be the biggest task, getting the bomb down to B in a 2-on-4. Rops has a singular smoke to do it, but if we look at this, we're going to be seeing Rops break the window up on the top of A to allow Sunny to break the window at the same time without being heard. Now, will Optic work that out? It's a common trick, maybe. But if not, then that gives an opportunity to Sunny to flank ramp, to kill a player back in the CT spawn, and allow Rops to come in through this A side. But you can see Snappy is one step ahead.
Yeah, Optic, they're sitting so comfortably in this 4-on-2. He can just give up ramp and hold for this push, hold for that flank. Snappy knows he doesn't have to overcommit to these fights, have to put himself out in the open. Does miss the shot on a Rop, so he's allowed to slip by, but a 1v4 here from Mr. Cool. You're asking a lot of one man. He was the star back on trade, but here on Nuke, he's dead. Yeah, he's going to get snuffed out, so... 11-12 in Optic. They are getting back into this game in a pretty big way, because now the money for Mousesports is all but ran out. So looking like they might just have to take an eco here. Yeah, I am very glad that Optic read that window break play, though. When you're in a situation like that, when you're in a 4-on-2 and you don't have the entirety of the map covered, and then you hear a window break randomly and a single flash come in, you've got to definitely suspect something's going on there. So Snappy, big brains, big frags as well. He's top of the scoreboard right now for Optic. Not exactly the player you would expect, but hey, if it's working, it's working. 11-12, a round away from equalizing it, and with Mousesports on a half buy, this could just be it. Yeah, this is looking like I might just be back to this A rush, and they're stacked up outside. Throwing down the wall of smokes outside to keep players' attention fixated there. That's got the attention of Cajun and Yugi, while the rest of the players now brute force their way into A, using these pistols up in the faces of Optic. Cajun doing what he can, but he's very open there. Smoke's going to dissipate over towards Mini, but another one thrown on out. That's Rops lending a helping hand to Sunny, allowing that bomb plant. Does get picked up as a result because they spotted the trajectory, but my goodness, Sunny, he's not letting up. He's top of the board and he is just decimating Optic right now. Ooh. Uh-oh. Okay. Bit overzealous there on the peak, perhaps, from Sunny. Smoke down on the bomb, and Stiko hidden away, playing the time. Yuki might just try and stick it. He's got a kit, he's got flashbangs, taps the bomb. Stiko peeks wide, and Stiko's going to clutch it in the 1v1. He's not going to allow Optic to tie things up here and now. And he makes that half buy work. That is so important for Mouse, because now they're going to be flushed with cash. Yeah, a huge influx as well, right? That's a round that Mousesports didn't even bank on winning. The A site has been impenetrable for Mousesports this entire half. Optic have been doing a very good job of holding on to it, or at least in the last few rounds, right? But Mousesports actually getting it done with pistols, a quick burst, and 13 rounds to 11. Optic still able to buy for a couple more, but it's rocky territory, it's rocky road, with Mousesports 3 away from knocking Optic out of the EU minor here in Katowice. Someone is going home. And that's the scary part about this matchup. It may even be in Nuke as well. Yugi back on the AWP. Oscar pulling in his first for the T side as well. Oh, he's going to get caught. The push up on ramp from Snappy. We've seen his calculated aggression from Optic. When I say calculated, it's very solo. It's very individual. We've seen Refresh push Hut. We've seen Snappy push ramp now.
It's big risks, but they've worked out every single time, and Optic have opened up a big part of the map. The issue is they've lost outside control in the meantime, so Sunny's going to be able to abuse this, but don't get confused. This isn't looking like a B play right now. Sunny can split through this main position and try and wrap his way into A with his teammates up in lobby. Because again, Mousesports don't have the option to get anyone else down on B unless they get through this vent.
Yeah, and Sunny there even making sure to make some noise as he pushes in towards Secret in the event that maybe there's a man in the warehouse. Oscar securing that kill. Puts us back in. Oh no, you've been betrayed by your little toes, and Config devastated. Stiko's in with another. Cajun B doing what he can. He's up in the heavens. Christo batting down the hatches, locking this one in, and Snappy 1v3, a lot to ask. He might be top fragging for his team right now. But this does not feel like a possible clutch for him. Especially as well, you take a look at the money on Optic, he kind of almost needs to hold on to something. It would definitely come in handy, but caught looking completely the wrong way. Doesn't expect Sunny to be in hell, because why would you? And that's Mousesports, 14-11. So close to edging this out and sending Optic home.
And that was a chance for Optic to actually reset Mousesports, their first round in the last 4 as well. So if Optic won that, Mousesports, they would have been crushed. Obviously would have had a little bit of money left after they won that eco round, or half buy, but it still would have been Optic's route back into the game. And if anything, it's come back to bite them. 14-11. Optic, the economy is very topsy-turvy right now. Definitely not what they would want when you're facing up against 14. You're now, at least Optic are in a position where they can go, okay, we have 11 rounds, we can play for OT if need be, but I'm not expecting that at all. I'm expecting a full buy right here. This is Optic after all. They do like to buy, and they do have the players to make it work as well, don't get me wrong. But this is just such a difficult position to be in. 14-11 to Mousesports on the T side of Optic's map pick. Already a map up in the series, and 2 rounds away from elimination. Optic, they've got to be a little bit sweaty here.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, you take a look at this buy, that's certainly not the buy you'd want to rely on to deny match and series point the way at Mousesports. They do at least have the AWP on Yugi as a bit of a silver lining. Snappy's limited. Utility isn't all that great, all things considered. Oh. Yugi actually even going to get naded down, my goodness. But this is something I was about to bring up. I would love to see Optic try their hand at a bit of aggression outside. We haven't actually seen them do anything towards this portion of the map. And you take note of how their CT side's been. It's had to be very reactive, because these players from Mousesports, they've been shrouded in utility and then very explosive. So you haven't really had any stacks in these bomb sites.
And to add on to that point as well, Mousesports have never sent a full conga line outside through the yard. They've usually sent, Sunny on his own, or Oscar with Sunny, just to try and find picks or lurk in through A main, or try and work down towards B. So to have 2 players out there for Optic, if 1 or 2 of Mousesports players push out, that's a very good position for Optic to challenge. So it might work out, but you can see Sunny's being very, very careful, checking the corner. Oh, his head's going to be given away, and Cajun's taken the shot. Man advantage for Optic very early on, and that's going to cut down this B split, but they will still charge down this ramp. Yugi trying to get into position to deny the hell push, but they want nothing to do with it. They want B. Refresh has already given up the ramp room and fallen down into the depths below, but he's going to be calling for reinforcements with Yugi not spotting anyone here. And Mousesports, they actually bail. They go back into the lobby and give it another go on A, where Optic have 2 players sat.
Yeah, but there's only 20 seconds left. They leave Rops behind to come in late on this lurk, and I don't think the players up in heaven see that coming. Nice flick from Oscar. Oh, no. Chasing with another, and here's the flank prevailing from Rops. Refreshing Cajun. This round was looking like it should have been Optics. They had the man advantage. It was looking like things were finally going to go their way. But Mousesports digging deep, able to recover. And now standing on 15 rounds as Refresh and Cajun B, they just play it safe. They hold onto these rifles for the most part. That is going to be all they have with them in this next round. Going to have to cobble some sort of buy around it. Mousesports just 5 kills away from sending Optic home and locking in their shot at revenge versus Valiance later on today.
And Optic fell for that hook, line, and sinker. It feels like Mousesports have been ahead of this T side every single step of the way, constantly confusing Optic. Yugi rotating fast up that ladder to try and get back towards the A site, and that's when Rops is able to get the flanking kill onto him. These fakes have been very, very strong from Mousesports, and while they haven't even necessarily seemed like the initial game plan from the outset, they've done a very good job of actually, you know, these mid-round calls and reacting to maybe not always having the best positions, being in that man disadvantage early on, losing Sunny outside, their top fragger as well. Mousesports showing us some great Counter-Strike here in Katowice, and now 1 round away.
And I mean, there's the buy from Optic. Pretty dismal, all things. This is what they have to try and dig deep with. They need 4 rounds in a row to try and take this through to overtime. That's not even to close this out. That's just the beginning of the journey. And the road to the comeback is long and perilous. But if they don't manage to pick it up, their road here at the EU Minor for Katowice will be a very short one indeed. Their journey potentially about to come to a close unless we can see a vintage performance from some of the guys on this squad. And this time around, Mousesports has taken a very, very slow start to this one. Very methodical in their approach, waiting to see if Optic try any sort of desperation pushes, try and go for that aggression that, you know, these players are known for, really.
No one wants to be that first man to make a mistake or go down here for Optic. They were willing to try it earlier on in the half, but not right here, not right now. Yugi, dangerous position outside. He is going to get a bit of damage onto Sunny, but you can see Oscar's already honed in on the angle. Won't connect the shot, and he's actually being pressured quite heavily. Yugi's even swiveled back to kill Sunny, and Oscar needs to try and find this trade. Stiko is making a lot of noise down on ramp, and that's going to force the rotation down from Refresh, dropping in towards B. It's actually Snappy, rather, instantly removed. Low HP on a couple of Optic players, but they do have 1 man down in the door.
Yeah, 4-on-4, probably one of the best chances for a retake we've seen from Optic in quite some time, but already Cajun's falling short. Rops getting rid of him. And now Config, Yugi, and Refresh. This is the 3-man firepower core that we so often talk about, and we need to see them demonstrate why these are the talked about players in this team. Time ticking down, and Mousesports, they're not under any pressure. Refresh just misses the peak there, so he goes meandering into Stiko's iron sights. Config left in a 1v4 and trying to do all he can, but it's not enough. Mousesports 16-11, they take the series 2-0, and they lock in their chance to play versus Valiance later on today. That chance for revenge, Hugo.
Yeah, and commiserations to Optic. A team that I expected to get through this group. I thought they would come into this event very, very prepared. They had an unlucky start, losing to Team Vitality in that opening game, getting you know, really beaten on, to be honest. And then Mousesports even 2-0ing them, taking their map pick away in a more dominant fashion than Mousesports' map pick. That's a really, really nice game from Mousesports. I think they may have had a slow start to this event, but I think they're going to bounce back, and I imagine this team will be qualifying for the major, like we all kind of predicted coming into, you know, the minors. But
I mean, only time will tell, right? Yeah. Chance to rematch versus Valiance, that's going to be coming up in just a bit. But first, we're going to throw this back to 3 more guys who want nothing but sweet, sweet revenge. Trace and the gang, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, I don't know about the revenge, Harry, but one thing I do know is that the sun has set over Mousesports. They have found success here over Optic, and Optic will be joining the former Space Soldiers on that plane ride home, because that's all she wrote. It's done and dusted for those teams, and we are sending Optic home. That's maybe the talking point we should start with.
They still put up a really good fight, though, right? Like, I think the fact of the matter was their T side, what they were doing was exploiting the rotation patterns of Mousesports with the smoke wall. It was standard, you throw the wall, you go down secret, you do your business. But there was a couple strats where they actually threw the wall, had players coming off of the main roof, and actually took fights which exploited the rotations and made life a little bit more difficult for Mousesports, which means you either have to play more passive or play more aggressive, and they're able to toy with that. But then you look at Mousesports and the way they address their T side, letting Sunny do that towards Squeaky Door on a lion's share of rounds. If he does that move, drops the HE, drops the smoke, pushes out, either goes down the vent or just goes for that hut kill, it's a very difficult thing to deal with because of how individual it is.
I mean, we're looking at a Mousesports here on their T side where they were really dictating how they wanted to approach the map. We did see these fallback patterns. We did see these situations where they maybe second guess what they wanted to hit, or maybe they didn't necessarily utilize everything that they had to do to take a bomb site. But for what it's worth, they kind of just
надо делать.
Возможно.
a bit the fact that Mousesports necessarily were not doing the best possible job in trying to hold the upper bomb side, because a lot of the time Optic managed to get a lot of isolated kills without anyone trading for Mouse. So something for Mouse to be looking at when they're holding that upper bomb side. But apart from that, yeah, still positives for Optic to take away. But in the big picture, it's not a great outlook. It's been a tough, 6, 7, 8 months now at least for them.
It's been a continuous tough affair for those guys.
Yeah, basically.
I don't want to speculate too early, but I think if North go out and they don't beat Windigo and they don't qualify...
This is good. This is where things get fun right there.
If neither Danish team here is able to make it to the major, you would expect one of these organizations to go to Carrigan, to kiss his feet, to give him a blank check and say, pick whatever Danish team you want, obviously excluding Astralis players, and bring these two teams together, bring the up-and-coming players, bring something new, because the Danish scene is very deep with talent. We can see that. It's just about giving them the right direction, because both of these North and Optic projects don't seem to be clicking right now.
And they're going to be signing you as a GM.
I'll do it. I think that's how that works. And Chad is pretty fluent in Danish. I made that up, actually. But what we do have on our hands now, you want to talk about fluent and clicking, we're going to be talking to Mr. Chris J of Mousesports. Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, that's right, so now I've got Chris J here, and now you guys have managed to take down Optic with 2-0. I want to come back onto the first game on Train. There was a lot of times there where you guys were kind of winning these opening duels. You had a lot of times where they were just kind of getting the clutches out there. It got a little bit scary though, right? They were in the lead, it was 14-12. What did you do to come back from that?
I don't know, I think we had a good game plan on City side, but because of some reasons, for example, one of the first gun rounds I was playing with Scout in the position we planned me to play with AWP, and I tagged 2 guys, we lost the round, but if I would have played with AWP in that situation, I obviously would have killed 2 and we probably win the round. And then we got kind of into this string where you don't have like super good money, but you still don't want to eco because their money is also not good. So we didn't have like all the weapons or nades that we really wanted, and that just gave them more chances, even though they obviously played good. They were like trying to fake us all over the map a bit, and that worked pretty well until we really realized that. And then when we got some money, we got back into it, and yeah, things went our way.
Then Nuke, it came a little bit more convincing, a bit more of the old Mousesports style in there, but certainly Optic put up a good fight. Going into that match, obviously playing against a Danish team who are notably good on a map like Nuke, was there any kind of concerns there? Because you guys haven't had maybe the standout performance people expected so far.
Yeah, I think it's clear that we are not in our best shape right now, but I was pretty much hoping for them to pick Nuke because I think we're pretty good on Nuke. Even though we haven't played against a lot of opponents, we played mostly against Astralis, and we usually don't win. Or, I mean, we never won Nuke against them, obviously, but we got closer. We feel we're really good on Nuke, so we definitely knew we had a good chance, even with not that good of a CT side. We know our T side is also pretty good right now, so we were really confident there, yeah.
Well, it is a start, so we can ignore that one when it comes to the previous Nuke games. But going up against Valiance coming up next, right? It's going to be a bit of a revenge mode. Do you feel a lot more comfortable now after this game and then going into the best of 3? Because those guys certainly gave you a hard time. I just wanted to know your thoughts on what you thought went wrong on Mirage that you were so confident on in the best of 1.
I don't know, Nexa said yesterday in HLTV interview that they anti-started this pretty hard, and I guess they did, but I think the biggest problem was that most of our players just weren't so on point, and I think right now we're still not at our best level, but at least today looked a bit better. I think more of us are hitting
circuit. But for right now, you're just going to feel flat because you're out of the tournaments for the next, 5-6 weeks? You won't be doing a whole lot. So maybe another vacation?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to fix issues. Just don't do anything. Relax, sunbathe.
That's how I fix all my problems.
But do they really fix problems?
And not, they just keep building up in my bloody inbox. So, yeah.
An autoresponder does go a long way, which is what we're going to be doing. What do you got now?
No, I'm just going to say I feel like the nukes are going to be coming in for this Optic lineup.
I think so. And, you know, that is the weird sort of mix that we have going on here because we did highlight the fact that North aren't necessarily looking the prettiest either. So should they have that trouble, we could be looking at an all-Danish derby, and I don't mean one in the server. And when we go back to the server, it's going to be time for our next best of 3, the last one of this day, but one that certainly has some bearing, an elimination match. It's going to be, well, the Mousesports versus Team Valiance, and we're going to be jumping into that after we come back from the break, so make sure you're here with us. Don't go anywhere.
The champions of ESL 1 Cologne.
Do you remember?
Welcome to the Cathedral of Counter-Strike.
Think you've seen it all?
Are you ready to be a part of Counter-Strike history?
ESL 1 returns to Cologne in 2019.
Think you can't capture a clutch in full resolution while streaming the play to the world? Watch this. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Prepare for combat. Go forth and conquer.
Since the beginning. Every map, every frag, every moment. I run, but I never hide. With knowledge comes power, and power is to be wielded wisely. Which is why, as the expert, I bet with Betway. If you know CSGO, then you'll know the best way to bet on esports is with Betway, for the love of the game.
Vodafone presents the pre-match.
The drone flying over the Spodek is exactly where these teams are vying to find themselves. They're netting a spot within the major, but first battling here through the EU minor system for the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2019 Supreme Major. That's right, Supreme. And that's how we're doing things around here. Mousesports start the day off with a 2-0 over Optic, sitting them packing, but for the time being, they still have a little bit of work left to do. My name is Trace Saranthus, and of course with me will be Sponge and Natu, and we're going to be telling you why this is the match to watch right here. Already, Valiance in a spot that I don't think that we could have naturally put them in right away, but they're definitely here now, and they definitely have to take on a Mousesports that's probably more than warmed up.
That is the problem. The fact of the matter is Mousesports did have those two maps that went quite a lot of rounds, and I think the fact that Chris J said they didn't play a lot in the off time means more warm-up they can get in a tournament environment is only going to work better for a team who already has more experience. So going toe-to-toe with a team also who played well individually speaking, as opposed to being more strategical, means that you weigh up the, I guess, the ability of all the players in the server, and you're going to land on the side of the Mousesports.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these teams. Perhaps you have absolutely no idea who it is that we're talking about, but you did just watch Mousesports, and now they're going to be taking on Valiance. Let's go ahead and center this conversation around Mousesports. They don't really need an introduction, but we can definitely begin to talk about them yet again. Oscar, Stico, Chris J, Sunny, and Rops. Now, one thing we did see in the last matchup would have been the frustration levels over there on Oscar's face. When you get that forehead out, you get that face palm, you know it's not a good feeling in the camp.
No, it's sometimes when you watch them, like, you know, on camera, it feels like they're like a dysfunctional family, basically, you know. But at the same time on the server, they might still be playing pretty well, actually, together. So, no, it's an interesting lineup. Obviously, they've had their bows going through the past, you know, half a year or so, basically since the whole Snacks and then Stico coming back, the whole thing happening. But overall, they are the heavy favorites of this minor, 100%, and I don't think they should have a lot of trouble here going through into the playoffs.
Well, now, especially that they've warmed on up, I think that individually speaking, they should be performing on a decent level. For me, the biggest critique of this roster, and that's been over their entire history, is there's no emotional leader in the squad in the sense of nobody really be uplifting, there's no figurehead in that regard, and that can be a problem when you are playing against a team like Valiance, who are going to be extremely emotional because this is a huge chance for them to make their name in Counter-Strike.
They're going to be making that noise. They're going to be bringing that sort of heated atmosphere, that sort of environment that, well, I don't think a Mousesports will cave under, but you're right, Chad. There's definitely no one carrying the banner into battle there for those guys.
Your boy Otto didn't have a fantastic day at the office yesterday, really, when they were playing in that upper bracket match. He did struggle a little bit there, but we saw fantastic things coming out to the likes of Esperanto and Nexa with a lot of multi-frag potential. Hunter on Mirage, he even used it against Mousesports. It's the Hunter boost. He used to use it in the old iteration of this roster, but somehow they managed to a strategy where they boost him in the window while distracting the rest of the map, and he's able to flank CT spawn to A time and time again. I feel whenever I see that guy as a highlight, that's one of his plays. So they definitely have the little tricks. They've mentioned that they've been doing a lot of counter-stratting, so it's going to be interesting to see how the maps fall this time, because I know that both teams don't really like overpass. So who's going to play the bluff in the first round?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just to go back on Otto, I think as a player, I've seen him play in the Finnish scene for a while, obviously, and I feel like it's the kind of player that has the skill sets to dictate a game as an AWP and kind of be the one to make plays when need be and kind of be that linchpin guy when you have those situations that someone needs to create an opportunity. But so far, he's still such a new kid on the block for these type of situations that it'll just take a bit of time for him to get comfortable, I feel like.
I mean, and there are some players that find themselves in those shoes, but it takes sometimes even years to find themselves that sort of name-changing, dictating, pace-changing sort of guy.
Or then you're Sergey and you just, you know,
or you
straight away.
Straight out of the womb and you're out here fragging.
Ice in his veins. So I think it's a little bit different. You know, I know they're all from Finland, but there's sometimes a little bit of differences there. With these highlights up on screen, I think this really just adds to the context we're talking about. They played a lot of rounds, so they had a lot of chances to play into this. It wasn't like they just blew Optic out of the water, so they should definitely be warm. And when you're going up against an unexperienced or inexperienced team even, like Valiance, the thing is, they kind of rely on the fact that they get an equal slate, right? So both teams, and then they can they can really disrupt you with some interesting plays, some things you weren't expecting. In this situation, Mousesports are going to be ready because they're warmed up.
Yeah, and I think the fact that the Valiance was saying they were anti-stratting Mouse in that Mirage game, I think that's a bit of a dangerous route to take in this situation. Right. I feel like Mouse is the type of team that has so much individual intelligence within those players that they can do things and just, you know, in the moment basically just change things here and there that might throw off Valiance altogether, and then they'll start overthinking things and it'll just all come crumbling down.
Right, and when they brought Stiko back in, you could tell that they had that sort of comfort level. You really didn't find itself with snacks on the lineup. But the only snacks I'm going to have for you at home are those of the maps. That's right. It's time to determine which 3 of our playgrounds we're going to be battling it out on here. And I'm not one for fighting on the playground, but we got to settle it right here.
That's where all the best biffs happen. But the fact of the matter is, to see Overpass go out by Mouse, it means they don't want to take any risks in the veto. Yeah. When they did the best of 1, Mousesports removed Inferno first, but there's a lot more bans going back and forth in that regard, right? So in the best of 3, you don't want to play a map that you're not comfortable on, regardless if the other opponent is or isn't comfortable.
Yeah, and Mousesports being the favorite, you just take that out the window.
Ooh. It's interesting that Valiance didn't go with Mirage again. That's a I guess a symptom that we see a lot of teams fall into who have had a win and they're inexperienced. They think, oh, we can do it again. Yep. Mirage will be the 3rd and the decider, and if it goes that far, Mousesports are going to readdress the issues that they obviously had. That's the factor if it goes that far, right? So you're going to expect the counter-stratting to be coming across all of these maps, and the Cage pick, it makes sense because Mousesports are very up and down. They have results where they've blown teams out of the water, and they have results that they've been blown out of the water. It's not one that they, at least historically, have prioritized in their map pool.
Yeah, and looking at this map at least, I mean, starting off with Train, if you're the side of Valiance, and we've heard this from a couple of other teams, you are starting with your back against the wall, but you do have that nothing-to-lose mentality in your pocket. Coming in here and setting a tone for yourself and for wherever you're coming from is definitely what you want to do, but perhaps they can spin that to their advantage somehow?
They could, but at the same time, you're going to have Mousesports with the type of playstyle where they're going to be very aggressive, like play fast-paced T-side, as we see today, earlier already. You know, they're going to be in your face, and that's going to be really hard to play against. Then again, Mouse might be changing the tempo early on, kind of make Valiance waste all their needs.
Walking throughout the entire duration of...
So I'll appreciate it. I'll take it. Thank you for the big smile on his face. But so we of the night here on the mainstream, Mousesports up against Valiance, the rematch, the revenge, the grudge game, and boys, it's going to be a kicker.
Yeah, it's a chance for Mousesports to get revenge versus the team that upset them on day 1. The whole reason that they were in that elimination best of 3 just moments ago to begin with. First map going to be Train. You can take a look at the Betway odds. You can see Mousesports once again hands down the favourites here. But already this pistol round's underway. Mousesports going to be heading over towards the B bomb site right now. And Otto, he's actually opened things up with a quick frag onto Stiko. Esperanto's come rotating in, and well, luckily enough for them, Sunny and Chris J have bailed Mousesports out for the time being.
But that bomb, Hunter's on the flank, and he's found it. Luckily enough, Sunny's holding the angle from a range and also equipped with a USP, will land the shot. Good patience there from Sunny, not to rush and grab the bomb when he was expecting a flank through the pop dog, a position that Mousesports did not own. As a result, they're back into a 3-on-1 and now going to be able to get that bomb down on the B site. Letney far too far away to stop this one, and Chris has no cover towards the connector. You can see he's being a little bit hesitant, but it will be fine. He's going to get in position before Letney can rotate. And a very open bomb plant as well will basically solidify Mousesports to win this round. Surely not a doable clutch for Letney. No kit currently, at least, and there is a man in the spawn as well, but he'll be at least checking that angle somewhat. Can't go too deep. He hasn't got a lot of time, and Sunny is going to take his head clean off. 3 kills on the pistol round for the Finn, and Mousesports will start things off on their pick.
Yeah, getting that ball rolling early on once again. That's one thing that Mousesports have been so good at today, is winning these pistol rounds, right? You think even just that game that we witnessed, they were 3 out of 4 pistol rounds in the matchup, of course, versus Optic. And then even in the 1 pistol round that they went ahead and lost, they were able to go and pick up that force buy in the 2nd round. So that's one thing that Mousesports have been able to replicate at the very least. Here's this force buy from Valiance. Unset. He is able to open up, but the only issue is he's now trapped here and at the mercy of Chris J's Mighty Creek. 2 quick kills come through, and Esperanto doing what he can from Connector. Does have this scout, and actually he's painted up a couple of players. There's a lot of red on the screen right now as he's doing damage downrange with the scout. Not content with a couple of tags though. He's now going to go back to back with Nexa, trying to find something. They clear out Pop Dog, and from this they might even start to yeah, you see Esperanto now leaving that A-bomb site, setting up on B just to play things safe. They go ahead and split this defense in a 2-to-1 between the A and B bomb site. And Mousesports just waiting to see if any more aggression comes out from Valiance.
Yeah, Valiance unsure at the moment. Robsy might give away his position, but he doesn't die to it. Shows someone he's in Pop Dog. Next is going to be able to fall back as a result, but caught by Sunny wide peeking out from T-Con. So Mousesports regain the man advantage. This scout is still in play, and there's 2 left up on Valiance. With Rops being the only man with HP, he needs to be the one to step up, and he will do so by dropping Esperanto in the connector. Letney now coming from a long rotate round, and they may not expect this, but he's got to be quick. That bomb is already being punched in. Plant will go down, and they should have time to get into the post plant, but Rops just sits and waits. Letney walks right into his sights, and that will be Mousesports a little bit dangerously, but able to close out the 2nd round.
Yeah, getting it all punched in at just in the nick of time, and then Letney getting his pushed in. That's going to be Mousesports up 2-0 here on it trade. Buy not on the horizon for Valiance. I personally prefer this on the CT side, I'll be honest, especially on a map like Train versus Mouse. I think it's so important to prioritize getting that early AWP out, and perhaps sometimes even more important than getting the utility right, just to deny the vision, the ways of, you know, Chris J and Oscar. That's kind of how they have such dominant T sides. It's on the back of that double AWP.
Not even just that, but also having these scout rounds. I mean, look how close that came. No, it wasn't a win, but there's a lot of times you can win those rounds with 2 scouts. Great shot for Sunny, looking like a pistol round all over again. He's got the USP, and he is ready to use it because Valiance have no armor, and Sunny is just tapping his way into the A-bomb site. Again, another couple of kills for him. CT rotate from Valiance, too far away to stop this bomb as you would expect, and Mousesports will be taking another clean round, so it seems. So Valiance is going to have those guns. They're going to have the AWP into the 3rd round as well, the 4th round rather. If they want it at least. Hunter's got the money. And Nex is doing his best to hold on to something here, but Sunny's just chasing. He doesn't give a damn. He's got nothing to lose here and everything to gain. Another couple of kills. It's a 4K with a USP up against USPs. Mousesports 3-0.
Let's take a look at this buy, and yeah, that's what I was curious about. The double AWP is going to come through. Now's a chance to test the water at this avenue of the map. They're all stacked up here, and they're going to look to try and use Sunny on that MAC-10 to create some space here on B. He's likely the man, first man in, also the one who's going to try and go aggressive once they take this site, and already pushing on through. Chris J's alongside of Esperanto is there on the AWP with 1, but he's got a lot more left to do, and there's that shot missed. Only opportunity he's been given. Chris even going to go ahead and silence Letney, so blink of an eye, Otto and Hunter left up, and they're already forced to save.
Yeah, 3 kills left and right here for Chris. Mousesports looking very, very confident in this game, and that's a big change from when they faced Valiance just yesterday over on Mirage. Now, obviously a very different map, but Valiance looks so prepared coming into that game, and I feel like Mousesports definitely had the chance to warm up with them just 2-0ing Optic earlier on today, just minutes ago, in fact. So very fresh in their minds and looking to send another team home. It would be a big surprise if Mousesports did lose this series, but you do have to remember that Valiance certainly not a team that's going to roll over and take and give it away for free. The AWP is held on by Otto, and Hunter's going to hold on to his M4 as well, so not a huge problem for Valiance, but they're definitely not going to be able to buy up a whole lot around this. They could actually drop over 2 more rifles from Hunter and Otto and get 4 into this round, so that's a viable option. can also just half buy on these 3 other pistol players, and yeah, that's what they're going to do. Get that full buy with the double AWP once again in the follow-up round. Give Mousesports the potential to take 5-0, but it's not like Valiance don't have any skin in this game. With an AWP on the CT side of Train, especially when you've got more armored players, if Otto goes down, that can easily be picked up, and we have a lot of AWPing power over on the Valiance side, so keep your eye on that.
Mousesports this time change the pace once more. They're going to go ahead and look to try and hit this A-bomb site rather a little bit faster. Oscar and Rops already laying waste to this attempted defense. Esperanto's trying to find the AWP. He's not quite sure where it's gone. Holding close to this smoke now. He's going to get tested and put down by Chris. Rops rather holding the drop. And does fall short, but Nex is just going to go to take this AK with him into the next round. He backs off. Mousesports will be moving 5-0 up, whether Nexa likes it or not. And you know, I was a big fan of the interview in which Nexa, I think it was said, you know, how they anti-stratted everybody here, Mousesports being no exception. But as the desk kind of said, the one issue with making a claim like that, you know, putting it out there, is Mousesports are a team that aren't too shy to adapting, you know, switching things up. And that's exactly what they've been doing to kickstart this T-side of Train. You know, it hasn't been these kind of slower defaults. They haven't been relying on the AWPs as much as usual to try and open things up. Instead, it's been these fast, explosive plays in towards these bomb sites. And Valiance haven't really had an answer for that yet. We're going to see if they have an answer in this following round. We have another buy on the horizon for them. And a shot at redemption here.
Yeah, everything they want and more. Double AWP is not going to be a problem to pull out into this round. And this is where I want to see the Valiance we know and love. The individuals shining through the CT-sided aggression. They did a lot of this against Mousesports over a Mirage to initially get that upset. Let's see if that can happen again, because right now Mousesports looking very, very confident early on into this game. 5-0 on the T side of Train. Now it is their map pick, you do have to remember, and they did manage to absolutely smack down Optic on it earlier on. Well, actually I say absolutely smack down. 16-14. Not quite a smackdown, but at least taking that victory there. That being said, it goes both ways. Valiance have certainly had a chance to watch that game, and I'm sure they did, to see at least Mousesports' tendencies coming into this matchup, but knowing is half the battle, Harry. As we say, the battle is the other half of the battle. Double AWP here for Valiance, Esperanto and Otto, of course, pulling those up for the CT side, and a fast play from Otto to peek up ramp as well. He's even got the support of Nexa playing anti-flash, hiding in case Mousesports double peek this and Otto needs any assistance. The flash is there, Otto peeks with it, and Nex is going to get the kill instead. So Valiance, a man advantage already taken. They don't need to commit to any more off the back of it. Letney is going to get pressured in the pop dog, but he smokes off and stays alive. In the meantime, Sunny abuses this distraction by pushing down Olaf, and with the 2 players deep in Ivy as well, Mousesports, little to Valiance know, all over this A site.
Oh, and there's Hunter. Smashing of Chris. Sunny has managed one. He's actually going to be still yet to die over on the side of Mouse. As far as Valiance are aware, he's immortal, but finally Sunny has been eclipsed, and that leaves Oscar in this 1-on-4. Able to dispatch of Esperanto, so he has a little bit of stake in this round. There's plenty of money here for Mouse, so he can justify going for it. Any kill that he gets is so valuable to Mouse here, as it just keeps that Valiance economy down low. You can see, with the exception of Nexa, everyone's pretty broke, so anything Oscar can muster up is massive. Keep your eye on Hunter, by the way, who's gone very aggressive into Ivy. They know exactly where Oscar is, but that shot lands, and now things get scary for Valiance. This flank really has to be the play to cement it, and Oscar, I don't think he sees it coming. Ooh. Just catches that timing in through the smoke for the time being, but Hunter is hunting. And Oscar, clueless, walks into the crosshair. Hunter's going to delete him, and that will be Valiance picking up their first round. AWP carried forward at that. 2 players surviving, and a double AWP setup brought out now for Valiance and co.
Yeah, very scary. If Hunter didn't have that flank, I feel like that's such a winnable round for Oscar. And yeah, you definitely don't want to give a player of that stature these kind of situations to take away, especially not when you had the double man advantage to actually start off the round for Valiance. Winning that duel in the CT spawn, getting that pick up on B as well. First round taken though, and Mousesports looking for the immediate reset. They've got Oscar back on the York and already setting up outside of B with 3 players here. They've been three players here. They've been abusing this a little bit before, but Valiance have gone for a similar setup. Again, two players close on ramp, and they're actually going to push a bit further as well. Nexa catches Rops with a nade in his hand, down to low HP. The nade's going to go too deep though, so Rops will be fine for now, because Stiko's the one going in for the repeat, and he's been picked up. Rops does avenge the earlier damage and his teammate, but into the 4-on-4 here with low HP on him means Valiance do have an inherent advantage. This bomb's still yet to go anywhere near the B site, so if these smokes get thrown in, it doesn't have to necessarily be a commitment, but if you see Chris J down Ivy, very likely Mousesports go for the B take here, and Chris J tries to wrap, but that bomb has been dropped for the time being.
Yeah, they're hoping that somewhere something gives here for Valiance. Maybe someone gets a little bit overzealous, gets caught out. They are, however, not keen on giving up a man advantage. They know that a 4-on-4 as it stands anyway is favourable to Mousesports. Lots of utility going to get thrown in towards his B bomb site, and that does pull a rotation. Esperanto now turning away. He actually decides against it, and that is the right call to make, because Chris J and the sneaky gang have made their way out through Ivy. A lot of angles to check, but they're not being challenged. Spots out Letney down in the sandwich, and Chris J does not make a meal out of that. SB trying to hold the cross from Pop, but no one from Mousesports coming in from this position. Rob still keeping the attention of Hunter here at this B bomb site at that. The bomb going to try and exit. Hunter does manage to pick up Rops at the very least. Bomb going to go down, and it's a 3-on-3 with double AWP in the retake. But Otto, he might have just made this possible. He certainly has now. Sunny, oh, he's going to have to step up big, and he's not ready for Esperanto. That's the round for Valiance, and it was looking like Mousesports had set themselves up very, very well there, but it starts to fall apart, and largely on the back of Otto with that AWP.
Yeah, they had no idea where these players were on the A site, especially with the fact that the only position that Mousesports were not covering when they went for that B fake was Pop Dog. So you could see they were very, very attentive towards the ladder room, and well, the same story for the CT side, who had also no information towards it. So unfortunately there for Mousesports, but they were down a man. They couldn't cover every position, and as a result, Otto, he's going to get a couple of kills on the spawn. So nice round from Valiance, not getting reset, actually getting a very well-played retake there, considering Mousesports had so much map control that Valiance were unaware of. But Mousesports' chance to do it again, or try and do it again. They failed the last time, and they might have get on this board here. 3 CT rounds now to play with, and a nice reaction. Surprised that Letney was very, very aware of that peek out from Sunny up in main. When that Molotov went down, Mousesports do that very commonly, right? It's a pretty predictable setup, but sometimes people just get caught up in the heat of the moment and the heat of the Molotov. Not Letney, though. Winning that duel pretty much saved Valiance in that situation. 3-on-5 here, Letney already in the Pop Dog taking a 1-for-1, but Stiko again getting tagged up, and Mousesports looking like they want to go for a fast A burst. Nexus already on that flank, but what? Stiko on the ladder? Oh my god, he even kills himself. Worth it.
What's happening down in Pop? That's the bomb drop there as well. This round is just one of chaos and destruction. Chris J is the only man left standing, and he's scratching his head. He looks just as confused as I do, left suddenly in a 1v3. I couldn't even tell you what happened in this round, how we ended up here, but now Chris is the man left in the hot seat. All eyes on him, and this is a horrible place to try and retrieve the bomb from, but the timing's perfect, and he's picked up Hunter. He won't be ready for Otto, and Otto's going to pick it up, so good recovery. Valiance able to go ahead and lock in a 4th round as they now look to try and tie things up here heading into the 10th.
What a mess that round was. I don't know how Stiko gets that kill, and then how he dies afterwards. He must have jumped off the ladder, and he was already earlier tagged from one of the fights from Letney and Popdog, so very unfortunate, but nice round regardless from Valiance. That's what, 4 in a row now here on the CT side. Bit of a streak going their way, and look at that. Didn't get to see the Steeko suicide, as we call it, but
Steeko side.
Yeah, maybe we should hide that from the viewers.
Yeah, that one's too violent for TV. Now,
it's looking like a Mousesports pause, and I barely blame them. 4 in a row for Valiance, proving to be a bit of an issue here. Mousesports, with that 5-0 start, I thought maybe they were going to start to roll over Valiance, but
well, so here's the thing, right? This is, for Valiance, this is like a reasonably decent map for them. You think back as well to the Imperial, this was always a pretty good map for those guys as well, because you originally had like Nuki and everyone in the roster. Kind of similar situation where you had plenty of players who could don the AWP, and that was why they did so well on this map. Hunter, meanwhile, this is lots of aggression down here towards Ivy, and actually, he does get punished for it. So we'll hold these thoughts for the time being and focus. See if Mousesports can make something of this round, although it certainly doesn't look like it. Chris J, 1 HP and a bucket full of dreams. Esperanto looking to try and be the bully. He knocks down his sandcastle. Indeed he is. So just Steeko left standing. This round's all said and done. Team ace for Valiance, and now we're tied up 5-5. And I tell you what, you kind of think about the Mousesports CT side earlier and how that looked on this map. That was where we saw Optic start to get back into things, right? If you recall, they only just managed to scrape the victory here, 16-14. With their CT side definitely looking the weakest of the two.
They're what, an 8-round T side, and even then only just got the victory. You're right, so definitely hoping for for a strong T side again if they want to have the same result. Maybe hoping for a little bit more dominant than that of the game versus Optic earlier, but Valiance, they love being dominant, they love being aggressive. Look at this push once again down Ivy. We have the double setup with the AWP, but they've lost control of T-Con, and as a result, Chris J, he's pushed in through the smoke. No one's focused on this position, but Esperanto's going to double back from Ivy right before the smoke pops and gets that frag. Steeko catches Letney close to the E-box. Mousesports, they've got themselves into a doable situation. Esperanto's still in the smoke, got to be very careful there, but the plant is going to be allowed. It's the flank that will make all the difference, and Hunter's come in clutch. 1 kill, knowing Sunny's on top as well. He can try and follow up with a second, and that would be so good, but Sunny's just 1 step ahead, and Steeko shut down the flank from Esperanto and Ivy. Things are not looking good for Valiance right now, and it's left all on Otto, who will hit the shot. Has 2 more to land.
And sadly, Otto never reaches his destination. He's been lost in that Bermuda triangle of death that was set up between the players inside of the bomb site. While he was good for the first, that's it for him. So now Sports finally able to find their footing, locking in a 6. They will maintain that lead for the time being, but Imperial? Ooh. Valiance, hot on their heels.
Sorry, back.
Old habits. Right now, I think the worrying thing, in my opinion, for Mouse is the next map, right? I think they're pretty reliant on picking this one up. If Valiance can continue this, I think Cash becomes a pretty interesting one. That's a topic for another day, though, in this round. Valiance, they've gone for that investment. They have the AWP still over on Otto, but money has been brought down to its knees for either side. This effectively becomes a 2-for-1 round as you do put the other team down onto an eco. So you see the switch up. Valiance attempting to go aggressive down through Ivy, but Chris J is just chiming in on the angle and does send Otto back. Comes out favorably in that engagement as well.
Yeah, but look, Esperanto tries to gain controls elsewhere up in the T-Con. Makes it very clear as well. Smoke is down. Sunny attempts to wallbang. Bit of damage there, but nothing really to write home about. Mousesports in the meantime still have these 3 players towards the top of B, but Chris J, he's been wrecked coming out of Ivy, not expecting the top green position for Hunter. Steeko can't find anyone in the B site either. Mousesports hesitant to commit. They want to wait for that bomb to group up them before they go for the full execute. 3 players still on A here for Valiance. No problem with that considering they have this man advantage. And very passive on B, so playing for the retake here. We've even got Otto back towards the connector as well, and he's tagged up from earlier in the round, so Rifles are going to be very good at getting rid of him here. But if he can just land 1 kill and fall back to stay alive, that's so valuable. But Esperanto rotating in instead. The Molotov cutting off this lower push from Mousesports. They'll have to come out of heaven instead. Smoke in their face. Nexa on the other side. 20 seconds left of these Mousesports players burst through, but Nexa, he's waiting for it, ready and prepared. Only 1 for it though. Rops doubles up, and it's left to Steeko on top of the heaven. Only 1 frag found, and he's just got enough time to cross to the site.
Molotov up on Hunter, though, going to make things very claustrophobic for Stiko inside of this bomb site. Forces him out into the open. Dodges the oil fire right now and holds the angle. Hunter's got no clue and just walks blindly into the crosshair. Stiko holds his ground in the one-on-one. And seemingly from nowhere, able to go ahead and cement that 7th for Mousesports.
Exact position, peeks out to his death. Rob still getting tagged in the meantime. The scout again from Esperanto whittling away. They're still here, still ready to play. Flank coming in from the Pop Dog. They should be ready for it, but Esperanto's lining up kills left, right, and center. Nexa with another one, and Hunter's going to overwhelm the final man. Valiance putting a lot of pressure on Mousesports in that eco round, and they'll get it done. It's a force buy, but they break back Mousesports' own money. You only just were able to get a buy into that round. They had 2 SMGs anyway, so that's a strong round for Valiance, but certainly not one that Mousesports can account for. Luckily enough, they still do have 7 rounds on the T side, so this has been a good start so far, but this might really turn the tables for the end of the half, meaning that there's a very good chance Valiance could be leading by the end of it.
And that's quite the recovery when you think about the fact that Mousesports were 5-0 up at one point in time. Other than that, they've managed 2 rifle rounds, right? You kind of take out the ones that have been on the back of weakened economy for Valiance. I guess 3 rifle rounds rather, but it doesn't inspire too much confidence just yet, because since getting them in hand, Valiance have looked very proficient. When they've had all the bells and whistles, all the trimmings. Going to be this the B play. Hunter's already up here though, in the heavens, raining down death. And this round is all said and done. Valiant's going to be tying things up. Weren't expecting much from ours there. Bomb plant was really the best case scenario.
And when we did see Valiance beat Mousesports over on Mirage yesterday, it was Hunter who was top of the server. He was, well, aside from Chris J, but he was going absolutely mental as well. So he's also back on form today, fragging well, top of the board right now. Esperanto side by side, and Otto sitting just closely behind in third place has a lot of crucial AWP kills as well. And he's a player that we are pretty happy to see on the big stage now, or at least get an opportunity to be on the big stage. Maybe lacking experience, but definitely got talent. AWP back in the hands of Oscar, and look at this push. What is this from Hunter? This is just the confidence that Valiance is showing. Despite being the underdogs in this game, they do not fear Mousesports. Unfortunately, maybe they should. Chris J catches him with a Galil. Mousesports now burst this A site.
Well, Otto with this AWP going to make his presence known, and he's just going to go ahead and start to shut this one down. Continuing to creep forward. Oh, he's on to a third. Uh-oh. Just a whirlwind of death right now. Continuing, and here's the man falling to sandwich. Stiko trying to get this bomb down. There's players all around him, though. And Oscar's really a long way from helping out. Trapped all the way over in Pop. He's good for 1, but still has to deliver in a very big way here. It's a 1v2, and Otto's playing close. One advantage is Letney is a long way from home, and Oscar spotted the shadow. Otto's got no clue, and Oscar, both players miss. Letney needs to get here, miss shots, and Otto's going to pick it up, so never mind. 8-7 half, it's Valiance to win this half out by the skin of their teeth. It was a 5-0 start for Mousesports, a fantastic recovery from them. And now the question becomes, how's this going to pan out as Mousesports head into that T side rather? Only time will tell. We'll be back with the second half after a very quick break. And as we head into the second half of Train, Valiance currently posed with a one-round advantage moving into their T side. Mousesports got off to a great start. Things did slow down as the Train pulled into the station. Well, let's see how they conduct themselves now on the CT side. Valiance, they've got utility on Otto and Hunter. Hunter's already thrown his smoke out towards the A bomb site. And with 4 players there for Mousesports, that's going to keep their attention here. Rops has a very tall order ahead of him. There's a lot of players cross into this B bomb site, and he's not able to deny the aggression. Didn't spot it either. They will anticipate the players have tried this, but they're not sure how many. SB and Letney holding close. There's Sunny in with the first. Chris J following up with another, but Esperanto's aggression stopped in its tracks, and now Nexa and Hunter all that remain.
No molly for the bomb either. They're already on the defuse. There's a smoke stick, and with so many players up for Mousesports, Valiance have no chance of stopping it. Sunny with another couple of kills, and he just has been showing up in spades today, especially on Train. Top frag last time, top fragging this time. Great to see from Sunny. Right now looking very, very strong for Mousesports as they take another pistol round under their wing. Definitely what they needed, considering that, you know, this is getting a little bit close. Although a strong T-side going their way with 7 rounds, definitely nothing to turn your nose up at. But Valiance are going to be forcing regardless. We got 3 rifles straight into this one. Obviously Mousesports still having some limitations with SMGs, so these rifles are going to be very, very dangerous at Mousesports peak wide, and these T's are already trying to face and find early kills in main. Otto's going to be the one challenging. Sunny playing the back bomb train. He's going to go wide. That's dangerous. Esperanto on the other side, ready and waiting. Stiko has to come up clutch, but he's only able to put a single kill on the board. Chris J, same story. It does keep it in the 3-on-3. But Mousesports are losing players over on A, and these rotations coming through the connector that's already been smoked off by Valiance. This bomb well and truly here. And Nexa in the back line as well. Chris J does get one, but it's immediately traded. Oscar's boost might be able to stop a bomb plant, but Letney, surely he checks this. No, he gets caught. And now Oscar dropping the bomb, leaving the only unarmored player left. Nexa's just going to get overwhelmed. Mousesports not giving him the room to try and play his clutch. They just suffocate him in the 2-on-1, and they do get rid of the force buy from Valiance.
Yeah, they succeeded in sweeping that under the rug, but wasn't that a pretty big cost? You know, lots of damage done. Valiance will just be taking an eco here, so this is a chance for Mousesports to take a clean round at the very least, and hopefully accrue a bit more cash over on this CT side. We know the importance of the double AWP on this team. Sunny once again just going to be donning that USP, looking to try and have a return to form as he did in his T side anti-eco. But no one from Valiant's going to offer anything up immediately. That said, Letney does decide that he wants to stare directly into the sun and didn't read the warning label in doing so. Esperanto has thrown down some shade though, and he has deleted it.
Yeah, not going to work for too much longer though. Nice try. You can kill a USP player, but as soon as Mousesports face you with the rifles, that's when things get very tough. Valiance left to just 2. Nexa's still smoked off down the Ivy for now, and Otto's only on a Glock. He will manage to upgrade it, but Mousesports have no fear in taking these fights. Stiko's just hopping train to train. Careful you don't fall off them, buddy. We've seen that before. And no one's fighting Ivy. No need to give this kind of kill to Nexa. Last spotted down this position as well, so they know he's here. We've already got Chris on the angle, so tough luck for Nexa, a bit of an off position. Chris is going to move in though. This is a bit dangerous because Nexa's hidden round the corner. And Chris, he is going to go for the check at least, so Mousesports do manage to pick it up with minimal casualties, only losing that USP on Sunny, which is not a problem at all. So 10 rounds to 8. Still holding the lead for now, but this is when the buy comes out from Valiance and we get to see what they're really made of on this T side.
Yeah, you know, even more critically for me is we also get to see the response from Mousesports, right? And if their CT side is going to kind of show some of the signs of wear and tear that it did in that Optic matchup. Because, you know, you think about this Valiance team, and it's almost a bit of a similar situation. You know, a couple of key fraggers up towards the top really doing the bulk of the damage. They're the guys that are going to be heading on in, try and open up these bomb sites, try and create opportunities. And there's one of them now, Otto. Quick to action, quick to find a man advantage. Rop's going to do what he can, but that flash perfectly timed, bails out. Next up, Esperanto, good for the trade, and this B bomb site comes crumbling down around Mao's bomb plants in. Stiko and Chris J, I don't even think they even go for this.
Yeah, these guns would be very valuable if you can hold on to them and get a full buy in the upcoming round. They would be mostly good otherwise, but Chris J wouldn't mind upgrading this Galil. Same story for the Fanbas, holding close just to see if Valiance start to hunt, but with this being their first one rifle round of the half, Valiance definitely don't want to chase too much here. Don't give Mousesports any more reason to go for this. So these guns should be saved, at least for Mousesports, unless Hunter goes down this pop dog. But right now, Chris has already left it, so he's going back towards T-Con. Should be a safe save for Mousesports, holding on to a couple of rifles, albeit not the best choices. And Valiance now gracing the T-side with a round.
You got to be pretty depressed though. You take like an AWP, a couple of M4s into a round, and you save a FAMAS and a Galil. That just feels a bit disgusting, doesn't it? You know, it's like a camper van holiday. Like, it's nice, it's a holiday, but you're in a camper van on holiday. You know, you'd love to be somewhere else. Ah, well. Oh. 10-9 is the scoreline right now as Valiant's looking to try and get back into this one. I went on a lot of them growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sick to death of it.
Never again. Wow, you really...
I mean, I doubt you've even seen a caravan, Hugo, in your life.
I've seen them.
Do they have them on the at the Byron Manor?
Not the Manor, no.
Oh, well, it's a damn shame.
Only private jets, Harry. Only
okay, jets. That's good. Well, flying into this round then has Valiant going to be sitting in the driver's seat in a pretty big way because the money for Mousesports still doesn't look too great. You save weapons forward. They have the investment here. Maybe could have been a bit of a better way. They could have rejiggled that money around. Stiko could have dropped for Sunny or Robs. They could have had that much more utility. So a couple of small errors here and there. Let's see if it comes back to punish Mousesports in this round.
At least they have the AWP. That's one of the keys here. With Oscar on that AWP, hopefully he'll be able to deal with Otto this time, because it was that pick from Otto that really, you know, let last round get steamrolled. It kind of just all fell apart. Oscar dies, a flash comes in, Robs was close, he's blind, and it just kind of, you know, it's like a snowball picking up traction down a hill. Seems like it will be another snowball down B ramp here for Valiance. 5 players set up outside of this bomb site. 2 close positions here from Mousesports, very committed to the duels, but they will work out wonderfully. Sunny and Robs both grabbing a kill apiece. These T's still pushing out. Hunter around the corner, he does get the entry. It's actually Nexa with a double. Bomb plant can come in as a result, and there's no need to stop it going down from Oscar. He'd rather take the scope. Could have definitely killed Hunter there, who is tagged up on the default plant spot, but Oscar not wanting to give away his position. He has wrapped all the way around, and that noise is going to be heard by the player on close oil. Nexa looking to conduct some serious business. He's on that long flank route, and he almost found Oscar, but too quick on the trigger. Otto, in the meantime, is making it work with a double, and Stiko left alone in the clutch. He knows Otto's dropped, but Otto's just been so good this game, and he will keep it up. 18 kills on the man himself, and Valiance find 10 rounds.
So now we see this go all tied up, and this is where things do start to get interesting. Mousesports, we saw, you know, in that Optic game even while they were having success, it looked like they were getting in their own heads at the round they were using. And now versus Valiance, the underdogs.